Good morning, everybody. Happy Wednesday. I'm Matt Littlejohn. I'm the Division CEO for MUSC here in the Midlands. I just want to say welcome to everybody. Hopefully everybody's having a nice spring. I was sitting over in the corner before everybody showed up just watching the sun come up, and somebody accused me of looking tired. So I said, no, I was just, I've already had a 7 a.m. medical staff meeting, and, I wanted to take 5 minutes to look at the sun, and of course you get criticized. And so, but anyways, happy to be here. I think everybody knows this. I've said it a couple times. I started back in May, but from Columbia, continue to love being back home. And, as we go into spring, I think that what I wanted to talk about today and just remind everybody, a lot of times we, come into the spring, it's new life, new growth. You're coming out of the winter, everybody's making plans for the summer, and just being grateful for having everything that we do have in the community we live in. It could be a lot worse. And so what I want to tell everybody today is whenever I feel like I am having a bad day, the first thing I do is I go round through our ICUs and recognize that I don't have problems. Somebody was asking me earlier, what's your biggest problem? And I think that if I ever feel like I'm having a problem, I just go walk through our ICU and recognize, hey, I don't have a problem in the world. So hopefully that's inspiring for everybody. And if you feel like you're having a bad day, just know that everybody's out there. Make some plans for the summer. Spring is a great time to, get your juices flowing and think about the beach and, going to the mountains and doing all the fun stuff with the family. So hopefully everybody's got big plans, and I wish you guys well, and we'll see you in a month.
Thank you, Matt. Good morning. I'm David Looper. I'm the Public Policy Chair this year. And just to echo Matt's comments about the sun, it's nice to watch the sunrise and not have my retinas baked. If you've been here before the time change, it was tough up here. But thank you all for being here today. We've got a great speaker. We've got a great turnout. This state of South Carolina, experienced a banner economic development year last year in 2023 with over $11.6 billion in new investments. So just short of what my family spent on Amazon, I think, last year. But today we've got Ashely Teasdel from the Department of Commerce. She's going to share her perspective on the growth that we had over the past couple of years, the opportunities that we've still got in front of us, and the challenges that they're presented with day in and day out at Commerce with new economic development. Ashely was just promoted to Deputy Secretary at Commerce in November 2021, working alongside Secretary Lightsey. She has helped the agency's efforts that resulted in South Carolina receiving that record-setting capital investment we talked about. So previously, Ashely served as Director of Commerce's Business Services Division, which focuses on small business development. So she's worked with the biggest companies and the smallest. She was instrumental in the launch of support resources for startups and existing companies. And tough job, she led the agency's COVID-19 response efforts. Prior to joining Commerce, she spent almost a decade in the banking sector. She serves as a board member for SC Bio, as well as South Carolina Economic Developers Association and the South Carolina Jobs Economic Development Authority. So I think that's SCEDA and JEDA. So quite a mouthful. Ashely got her degree in business administration and management from Charleston Southern and her master's degree from Southern Wesleyan University. She lives in Irmo with her husband and her 2 daughters, and here she is. Thank you for being here.
Good morning to everyone. It is certainly a pleasure to be here with you all. I'm going to hold the mic. Before I start, because I do have some prepared remarks, and I have a teammate here, Ellen. I'm not sure where Ellen is. Hey, Ellen, just want to recognize Ellen. She's a part of our marketing and communications team, and she's such a great support, and I'm just glad she's here with me because I normally don't get to take people with me when I come and speak, so it's great to have her here. So thank you, Ellen, for being here. Thank you so much to Carl, who's a great friend of mine, for his leadership and his support not just for the Columbia region, but for South Carolina as a whole. And thank you so much to Karen as well, who's in the room. She's been a great friend. She knows me and my husband and my girls, so we've known her for a very long time, but she's a great friend and supporter as well, and I appreciate her leadership. You know, before I get into my prepared remarks to really talk about what is happening in South Carolina from an economic development standpoint, I wanted to piggyback off of the sponsor's message this morning. I just woke up with just a heart of thankfulness and really gratitude, because we just have so much to be thankful for, especially with the South Carolina. You know, we are a very special state that has special people, leadership, resources, the quality of life that we have, you know, and even with our legislative leadership that supports pro-business policy and supports business and industry growth. You know, we have so much to be thankful for, and I'm really, really thankful for Secretary Lightsey, who is a true partner of mine. He is not a boss to me. Me and him are a team, and you know, it's been so exciting these last 2.5 years working alongside him, along with our executive leadership and our entire agency, as we're seeing such a shift with growth so rapidly here in South Carolina. And I know you're seeing it a lot in the Southeast as well, and we're going to talk a little bit about that. So in terms of a 2023 recap, you know, after a record-breaking year for capital investment in 2022, and if you remember, in 2022, that record-breaking year was $10.27 billion with 14,000 jobs. Now looking into 2023, there is also some really recognizable acknowledgments as well. From January to December of last year, South Carolina announced a total capital investment of $9.22 billion, and that was the second largest amount in state history, which is absolutely incredible for it to be back-to-back years. This number represents 81 projects announced across the state, with 14,120 jobs announced. More than 1/3 of the total capital investment was in rural communities. And you probably don't hear that much, but that is a very, very significant point. These numbers, they help illustrate why South Carolina is among the best places in the world to do business. During this past year, state leadership proactively prioritized trends and topics that are crucial for maintaining a vibrant and a competitive economy. This cumulative success is a signal to the global business community that South Carolina is a trusted partner for successful businesses to come. We want them to start here, and we want them to grow here so they can have a legacy here. The 2023 numbers, they include projects in South Carolina from 2 leading industry sectors based on the total investment, and that was probably no surprise to you all: automotive, electric vehicles, and EV batteries, which was $4.3 billion of that investment total I announced. And then right after that, you will see alternative energy and fuel with $1.56 billion in investments as well. 3 of the last year investments were $1 billion or more. The billion-dollar projects that we're seeing is just unheard of, not just in South Carolina, but we're seeing across the country and especially in the Southeast. So I want, with those billion-dollar projects from last year, I wanted to recognize 3 of them. Of course, you guys know about Scout Motors, and then Albemarle, which is a lithium refining facility that was announced in Chester, and then the 3rd largest announcement last year was QTS data centers in the upstate. So I did want to mention, so you'll know exactly who those were. So South Carolina, not just from capital investment, in 2023, our export sales totaled $37.3 billion, defying the national trend, which actually saw a slowdown last year of about 2.2%, and this is according to the U.S. Department of Commerce. Specifically, with those export numbers, Germany was the #1 exporter of products coming out of South Carolina, and that was accounting for $44.7 billion. The state remains the top exporter for tires, also a national leader of completed passenger vehicles as well. And things have not really slowed down in 2024 as well. So we're going to switch gears a little bit and talk about what is happening this year, what we're seeing right now in terms of activity. So Commerce right now have announced 12 projects so far. Our capital investment is $708 million, and the job announcement so far this year has been 1,036 jobs. You may be wondering, what does the pipeline really look like for South Carolina? And it remains strong. We have a little over 400 current active projects looking in South Carolina across all industries, across the entire state. And that is a relatively very healthy pipeline, especially for a state of our size. So I'm going to switch gears a little bit now to talking about our rebrand. I know some of you probably remember back in the end of January where the governor and Commerce hosted our first ever Economic Development Summit, and this is where we launched our new brand for the state, which we're excited about. And we also announced a strategic framework, where I'm going to talk a little bit more in detail about. So with the rebrand, it was a culmination of a year and a half of really deep diving qualitative and quantitative data to really get some perspective from domestic and international partners, consultants, companies, on what do they see and what do they think about when they think about South Carolina. And this was really important to us. Our former brand was Just Right for Business. And we have had that brand for a little over 11, 12 years. The secretary and I felt like we were at this pivotal point to where we really need to think about, what does the future look like long term for South Carolina, not just from a strategic framework perspective, but also the messaging that we want to give, not just domestically, but also internationally. So the new brand and the tagline that we put out was Launch to Legacy. And it is designed specifically to speak to commerce and the state's commitment to support businesses for long-term success. The Launch to Legacy brand, it leverages 3 core elements, which is really important. First, when you invest in South Carolina, you are here and you're going to grow. You're going to grow as a business, you're going to grow as a person, and you're going to grow as a community. Second, South Carolina is built. We are built and we have what we need for the new economy. People can work where they love, and people love South Carolina. When you think about our natural beauties, our resources, our mountains, our beaches, everything in between, we want to be able to capitalize on that because the quality of life aspect of who we are is extremely important. And third, South Carolina is the new home of the headquarters for American innovation, which is really, really important. The result of this new logo, which I'm kind of showing off up here with my button, it's a fresh, modernized take on the iconic palmetto tree that you've normally seen, as well as the crescent moon, which reflects the forward-thinking approach from Launch to Legacy. The logo and tagline communicates continual growth, resiliency, innovation, progress, and collaboration, all supported by the legacy of successful businesses maximizing a business-friendly climate, talented workforce, and the full commitment that SC Commerce has to companies to remain their trusted partner through every portion of their business lifecycle. This new brand also helps sell South Carolina as a place where companies can start, grow, and stay here for generations. And that's really, really important because when you think about it, you know, medium businesses, large businesses is really, really important, but we wanted to be able to really be able to have a strong message to say, we are also a great place for you to start and launch. And we want you to start and launch here, even as a small business, to be able to grow and thrive, because ultimately, we want you to be here for a very long time, be sustainable, and be able to have a strong legacy here in South Carolina. You may have seen some television ads airing on cable networks and also some streaming platforms. Our commercials have featured CEOs from BMW, Nephron, and as well as Sunoco. So that has been really exciting, and it's a different take, it's a different perspective. We've also had a couple of other type of marketing pieces with B540, which is a really great small business in South Carolina as well. So strategic framework, this was something else that we rolled out at our Economic Development Summit, which was really important for us. You know, when you think about the strategic framework, this was 9 months in the making for the agency, and we took a step back and really told ourselves we needed to take a look under our own hood. When you think about business and industry, they are consistently, daily thinking about what are things that they can do to diversify, what are ways that they can continue to grow, how can we continue to be sustainable and successful, and we needed to do the same thing for ourselves. So the secretary and myself took executive leadership through this process of going through kind of a strategic planning process that we like to say is a framework. I'm really not a big fan of strategic planning. These 50-page, 70-page documents that you stick on the shelf and it gets dust and you really do nothing with it, that's not what we wanted. We wanted a flexible roadmap to really talk about and recognize who we are today and how we've been successful, but what are some of the things that we need to look at for the future? And I like to think of it as a yes and proposition. When we came out with the specific sectors that we wanted to focus on, there was a little bit of freak out because we didn't necessarily call out manufacturing. And I wanted to say that because advanced manufacturing is absolutely going to continue to be a focus for the agency from a recruitment and an existing industry perspective, because it is the lifeblood of South Carolina. We have a responsibility to continue to support our manufacturing, especially automotive manufacturing, as they're shifting to this e-mobility platform that you're seeing across the globe. But we've also recognized other areas and sectors that we want to start proactively and intentionally really putting a lot of resources, focus, target marketing towards from a recruitment perspective here in South Carolina. And those areas is life sciences. We see a lot of opportunity with life sciences. Most people don't know that life sciences, it is very broad, but it's the second fastest growing sector in South Carolina. And we're seeing a lot of growth in medical device as well as biotechnology in the state, as well as we've seen some opportunities with therapeutics as well. So life sciences is certainly going to be a focus for the state, especially when you think about the highways job potentials that life science industries bring to the state. Headquarters is a great opportunity for us. Maybe not necessarily Fortune 500s, but we have a sweet spot for more of your smaller to medium size or even regional HQ in the state. And we have a plethora of headquarters in South Carolina, but we have an opportunity to be a lot more aggressive with that. Also, emerging technology, we're seeing a lot in the clean tech space as you're seeing this shift to more renewables as well as advanced energy. And I'm going to talk about advanced energy a little bit more because I know you guys have heard about Tech Hub, our designation, as well as SC Nexus, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about that. In terms of advanced manufacturing, as I mentioned, we have over 1,300 advanced manufacturing companies in South Carolina, and they employ roughly over 157,000 people here in South Carolina. So it is our bread and butter, and we want to be able to continue to grow our advanced manufacturing sector across all industries because it's really important for the state. Because we have an expanding number of project announcements, it will continue to put a strain on our energy grid, and energy has really been a really important topic in the state, especially from a legislative perspective. So this is where I really want to shift into SC Nexus and talk a little bit more about this. So last October, South Carolina was selected as one of the 31 tech hubs designated by the U.S. Department of Commerce. With the applicant pool, we had an applicant pool of over 400 entities across the country that applied to be a regional tech hub, and South Carolina was named one of the 31. And we had to choose a specific focus area of what we wanted our focus tech hub to be in order to really put focus and investment from a federal level as well as a state level on where we felt like could really help potentially grow South Carolina, but also this country from a global competitive perspective, but also a national security perspective as well, and we chose advanced energy. So South Carolina's Tech Hub, which is known as SC Nexus, is a consortium of leaders in state government, higher ed, utility partners, and stakeholders. This team supports the exploration of grid resiliency projects to help ensure South Carolina has enough power available to support evolving climate. One thing about Tech Hub and SC Nexus that I do want to explain is, when you think about and you ask yourself, why did the U.S. Department of Commerce and EDA really come up with this particular program? It really was about global competitiveness. It was about domestic onshoring. It was about bringing back innovation to be able to really bring about that success that we need for long-term growth. Energy capacity is something that the state will have to continue to focus on, and it's not just a South Carolina challenge. This is a nationwide challenge. This is a global challenge that everyone is thinking about, because when you think about trying to lessen the dependence on coal and really trying to shift to more clean energy, that is a process. But we're also having explosive growth in the state, not just from a business perspective, but we're also having explosive growth on the residential side. We're seeing a high migration coming into the state as well. So that is further strain on the energy grid. So we have a responsibility as a state to continue to make those investments. Tech Hub is also really focused on commercialization, and that's really important to understand. So when you have companies that have new technologies that may be at a technology readiness level of 2, and we're trying to really advance that commercialization to a level 7 or higher, this particular program is really to help propel commercialization, that'll help get these solutions from a technology perspective to the market quicker to be able to really support the growth. So February 29th was a big deadline for us with Tech Hub. We submitted our Phase 2 application to hopefully get federal funding for Tech Hub. We also have a request in on the state side, on the legislative side with the General Assembly. But I wanted to briefly touch on the 6 projects that we submitted for Phase 2, and we're hoping this summer that we get notification that we are getting awarded. They will award anywhere from $40 to $75 million to 5 or 7 of the 31 Tech Hubs in this first round. So we're hoping that South Carolina does. Our first project that we submitted is the Carolina Institute for Battery Innovation. This will be led by the University of South Carolina, and this project would establish a stationary battery manufacturing pilot line here in Columbia. The second project is a hydrogen test bed. It's going to be led by Rolls-Royce, and this project would establish a demonstration hydrogen storage system in Graniteville, South Carolina, designed to provide resiliency during multi-peak periods, as well as climate-related events. Our third project was economic development through grid emulation, which we're calling EDGE. It's led by Clemson University, and this project will upgrade the North Charleston eGrid facility power and voltage testing capabilities for grid-connected equipment. Our fourth project, which we're calling GECO, which is Grid-Enabled Cyber Operations Range, is led by Savannah River National Lab, and this project would establish a cyber testing range for grid-connected equipment with both grid operator training as well as equipment testing benefits. Our fifth project is an Education and Workforce Center led by South Carolina Technical College System. This project would enhance awareness of South Carolina's energy-focused industries and job opportunities, identifying and developing the skills necessary for roles in critical energy support and renewables. And I see my friend over there from the Governor's School of Math and Science. They are a big part of this particular project as well, so I appreciate their partnership as well. And the last project is Entrepreneurship and Innovation Exchange, which we're calling EIX. And this will be led by the South Carolina Research Authority, which you may know of them more of SCRA. And this project would provide comprehensive business, technical, and hands-on training, leveraging and connecting assets for our existing entrepreneurs and our innovation ecosystem across the SC Nexus hub, and also being able to provide opportunities for capital and incentives to support new and growing startups in South Carolina. So this is something that we are very, very excited about. I'm going to just kind of wrap this up. You know, it's really great to be here. I was really looking forward to being able to really share. I had to pack it all in, and I could say so much more, but it's just a lot of great things happening in South Carolina. And I do want to share, too, feedback that we hear, because, you know, I talked a lot about our growth. I talked a lot about CapEx and the job growth. And you may be wondering, when we talk to site consultants across the country and they think about South Carolina, what are those top things that's really bringing companies here? And I will tell you, the top things that we really hear the most is, number one, they are really attracted to the South Carolina workforce. They feel like our people have the skills and they have the knowledge to be able to help them thrive and be successful as companies. Workforce is one of the number one things that companies look for in terms of where they're making the decision to come and locate and really have a legacy. Second, and is very close to number one, but also available space, which we call product development. Product development, being able to have a ready-made site, to be able to have real estate, to be able to have office, headquarters opportunities, back office opportunities, whatever that is, being able to have a place to go and it's ready-made, it has water, it has sewer, it has utilities. That is really important because they want to be able to plug in and be able to really speed up their ramp up to really start operations. We hear that a lot. One area, too, that we're starting to hear a lot more of is quality of life, which is really important. When you think about post-COVID and just the shift in thinking that people have in terms of having more of a hybrid approach, I want to have a place where I can work, live, and play. And South Carolina really offers a lot of those things. So you're seeing more companies making decisions, not just about their company, but also their workers. And they want to locate at a place where their workers can thrive, where their workers can grow and build a family, where they can have a quality of life outside of just their 9 to 5. So these are things that we are hearing and we're consistently hearing. Of course, we are a small state, which is actually to our benefit because we're nimble. We can make decisions quickly. Our pro-business environment, our business incentives, our tax policy is very attractive. They also know that we have a very good, strong communication with our legislative leadership and our governor's office. You may think that's small, but it's a really big deal when it comes to being able to make decisions because we can make decisions quickly and we have great relationships on the local level, on the state level, as well as our legislative leadership. So all these things are really important. We have a lot to be proud of. I am really excited about the future for South Carolina, and I'm really excited about us having a forward-thinking lean and kind of stepping in to really trying to diversify who we are, not forgetting about what's made us successful, not forgetting about our core and automotive manufacturing will continue to be a focus for us, but also being able to shift and really be strategic in other areas that we feel we really have a great opportunity to continue to keep South Carolina front and center. So I will stop there, and I think I have a few minutes to take one or two questions if anybody have a question for me. And thank you for listening to me very early in the morning, too. Yeah, sure.
Well, first of all, thank you for being the change maker.
Yeah,
Carolina's
yeah.
on the bottom of the list,
Yeah.
and you obviously have made an incredible difference, and you're putting us at the top of the list. So thank you for making me proud to be a South Carolinian. My question is, when businesses are considering coming to South Carolina, what are some of the things that prevent them from wanting to do that? And I'm asking not to be negative, but because what are some of the things that this group can do to help prevent those from being a challenge
Okay.
or perhaps influence?
Is there someone that can help me run it so we can cover each side of the room? I'll get this sound.
Right. So that's a really good question. If you guys didn't hear her, she wanted to know what is some feedback that we do hear from companies if they don't make the decision to come to South Carolina. It's very interesting. Most times we actually don't get the feedback as to why they didn't select us. But I'm going to give you my perspective in terms of maybe some of the challenges that we're seeing, not just in South Carolina, but also the Southeast. Workforce is not necessarily a reason why they don't come, but it's something that the state has to continue to make investments with. Workforce continues to be a challenge in terms of having the available labor pool that companies can look for when they are looking to locate in a state. They're not just thinking about what's the available workforce for today, but also the available workforce for the future. So the more that we can continue to create and develop workforce development programs on a local level, on a regional level, and a state level is going to be really, really important. They ask a lot about the partnerships that we have with our technical colleges. They ask a lot about our universities, who is developing our future engineers, because when you think about the talent and the skills that's needed for the future, we're seeing so much in automation, we're seeing advanced technology, we're seeing more in AI, and this is really important. And when you think about, you know, how jobs are shifting, they're becoming a lot more technical. So you're going to have more technical skills. You're going to be able to maybe, you know, be able to be a little bit more in robotics or be able to program something that's on a manufacturing line. So workforce continues to be a challenge as well. I think, you know, this is one thing, is very competitive in the Southeast, but sometimes we may not win because of incentives, you know, and we feel like we did put up the best cost-benefit analysis package that we absolutely could, but another state maybe beat us out by several millions of dollars or whatever that is, or maybe they had something a little bit more creative that that company felt like they needed to have. So sometimes it comes down to incentives. It could come down to having a place to really locate and having the resources that they need to have. And I will say it's very interesting with the process of companies looking at South Carolina. A lot of times we actually don't even know they're looking. So there is this full process that they go through, and they start out with dozens of states, and they're actually looking at us before we even know that they're looking at us. And they are working with a consultant to really dwindle down, and they're looking at the labor market, they're looking at the supply chain, they're looking at the ecosystem, they're looking at the partners, they're looking at the education system, all of these things, and we typically may not hear from them until we may be 5 or 6 or maybe 7 on the list, and they're starting out at 20 or looking at 30 states, but they are working and dwindling it down and basing it on market research and data of where they feel like they really need to place themselves. I think, and I mentioned this, energy capacity continues to be something that we need to focus on. We've had projects that maybe specifically wanted to locate in a specific area, but maybe we were not able to provide that level of energy capacity that they need for that specific facility, and maybe that competition between us and another state really kind of weighed in on that, or being able to have the utility rate that they really needed. So a lot of factors go into play, and these are all areas that we have to continue to focus on and continue to develop as a state so we continue to be competitive. But that was a really great question. One more question from the group? Hey.
Hi, Ashely.
Hey.
Thank you for coming this morning,
thank
and
you for
your
having me.
enthusiasm is really infectious. But I wanted to ask you too, when you did your rebranding,
Yeah.
were you also working with our tourism, hospitality and tourism group to talk about how those things work together? The perspective and the persona that we put out for tourism and how we want to attract people to come, I would think would be fairly well related.
Yep, that's a great question. So we did get feedback from Dwayne and PRT. As much as we are alike, some of the messaging is a little bit different, and it's funny because some states' commerce departments actually have tourism in their commerce departments, and in others they are separate. But we did consult with PRT. You know, their messaging is a little bit more, I think, is discover South Carolina, or discover this place, discover South Carolina. And it does lean into more of the quality of life marketing message, but we felt like we needed to also be able to get their input as well, because quality of life is a big piece of economic development. And when you think about business and industry from launch to legacy, we thought about that quality of life aspect, and before we even made the final decision, we sat down with PRT to really kind of go over this is the number one and the number two. Can you weigh into this? Because we wanted to be sure that even though the messages may be aiming at two different people, individual versus a business, we did want it to interconnect in a very special way because, as I mentioned, quality of life is becoming more of a deciding factor for companies as they think about not just where is the best place for my business to be, but what is the best place for my workers to be, the best place for my workers to thrive. I want them to have a full and thriving and engaging life outside of work. I want them to be able to have a place where they can really start a family and grow. And when you think about how special South Carolina is, I mean, you can be anywhere in South Carolina and probably anywhere between 2, 3, and 4 hours. You can be to a beach, you can be to a mountain. We have amazing state parks. And these things, it really does make a difference when it comes to making a location decision about your people. So yes, we did get feedback from tourism because it's a really important part, and they do intersect so much, and tourism is a big part of the growth and the economic vitality of South Carolina, and we will continue to remain a really strong partner with tourism because they play a really big role. But thank you, I appreciate that question. Well, that's all I have. Thank y'all so much for having me, and I hope you have a great day. Thank you. You sure? Okay.
Thank you, Ashely, for that great update. Good morning. I'll try to be brief. I am Logan Howard. I'm the Director of Government Affairs with the Chamber. So I work with state legislators to advocate and provide for our small businesses. As you know, we are in the middle of budget week. I'm sure you've all seen in the news. The House just passed for second reading the budget yesterday, and they will go through third reading today. $13.2 billion spending budget. A few updates I wanted to go over. So $200 million will be allocated to bridge repair, and another, I'm not sure the exact number, but $47,000 will be the new minimum salary for teachers, which is great. There's a few, I think $500 million to property tax relief. Let's see, and I wanted to cover, I don't know if you've all looked at our agenda with the Public Policy Committee agenda with the Chamber, but we have a few topics such as energy, education, childcare, and I wanted to bring up Ashely's point with the energy. There's a House bill and a Senate bill that we are tackling, and I specifically work with the Metro Chambers, which includes Charleston Chamber, Greenville Chamber, Myrtle Beach Chamber, and the Charlotte Regional Business Alliance, and we work together to provide support letters to the House and Senate staff for any bills that's coming up. I'm sure you've all seen tort reform too. That's a big issue right now, and we have a Senate bill and a House bill for that. It is likely the Senate bill will not move, but we are staying positive that some type of bill will come out of this session. It's election year, as you all know, so that sometimes delays a lot of bills. We have the April 10th is a crossover deadline, so that means any bill that has not passed over the House or the Senate pretty much is dead. So that if it passes the House by April 10th, it is likely that the bill will have a chance of becoming law. April 1st at noon is the filing deadline. Let's see, any more updates? And going to the budget, we will have a budget summary in depth of what has passed after the Senate approves that budget. So we will send that out in our impact bulletin, which is distributed in our newsletter every Friday. As for that, are there any questions? I really like to have conversations with any bills. I'm sure y'all look at the news. Any questions on what's happening with our legislators? They're a fun time. They really are. We have fun over there. This week we thought was going to be a lot more stressful, but they ended up getting through the budget without going until 2 a.m. So we're thankful for that. But any questions before I pass over to Alexander with Blue Cross Blue Shield? Y'all must be reading the news then. Y'all have all y'all's answers. Okay. All right. Well, thank you. And I will, if you have any questions, I'll be around for a little bit. Other than that, Alexander, Blue Cross. All right.
Thank you so much. Appreciate the opportunity to be able to speak for the chamber. First and foremost, only my wife and my mother call me Alexander, and that's when I'm in trouble. So I'm Alex Kubas. I'm the major group and chamber sales representative for Blue Cross Blue Shield of South Carolina. Just as an introduction, we are very honored to be able to serve the state of South Carolina, but specifically our chamber members. For more than 75 years, Blue Cross Blue Shield of South Carolina has been a community partner and supporter, and we created the Chamber Blue product as an extension of that commitment. Very cool things going on right now. Starting in 2024, we're doing a revamp of our chamber portfolio, and that includes 30 plans, and those plans are offered exclusively to our local chamber members. In that revamp, again, I believe it went from 56 plans to 30 plans, and offering all the benefits of your typical Blue Cross Blue Shield plans. If you haven't seen the news, Blue Cross Blue Shield of South Carolina touts one of the broadest networks in the state. Looked it up recently. It's about 99% of doctors and physicians in the states. I know some of our competitors cannot tote that right now, so that includes all your local hospital networks in the state. To include that, with offering medical plans, we include dental and ancillary lines through our partner Companion Life. That includes critical illness, accident, life policies. So going through the chamber product design, we offer the full array of benefits for you. Also included in that hot topic is level funded products. Again, we do offer level funded on the chamber side. If you have any questions, again, our team is here at pretty much every meeting. Come up to us, say hi if you have questions. Again, I know everyone's favorite topic these days is health insurance. So if you got questions, come and talk to us. We'd be more than willing to give you some information on it. Again, in the 51 space at the chamber, we always talk about healthy growth and going from small group in the large group market. So give us the opportunity to speak with you, and maybe we've got a product for you. And again, if you work with a local agent, you can talk to your local agent and just give them a shout out, say we want to look at a chamber plan for our upcoming renewal, or you could talk to us directly at Blue Cross. All right, thank you very much for your time.
So hello and good morning, everybody. My name is Rebecca Spence, and I am the Partner Development Coordinator here at the Chamber. So I am up here today to present our Diplomat of the Quarter Award. So you should have met several of our diplomats at the check-in table. We've got our wonderful chair, Jody Salter, Maggie Mondragon, and Nick Joyner. So shout out to those guys. Our diplomats facilitate year-round connections and outreach with partner businesses. They are an extension of our staff, volunteering to create a link between the chamber and local businesses. So diplomats earn points for volunteering at events, ribbon cuttings, and making partner connections. So the Diplomat of the Quarter is awarded to the diplomat who has earned the most points. So I am proud to announce our diplomat of the second quarter of the year is Steve Doyle with CPR Cell Phone Repair. So Steve has been a diplomat for several years with us. You probably recognize him and his wife Pam. attending some of our events. So he really truly embodies the spirit of our Diplomat Link program. So thank you so much, Steve, for all you do on behalf of the Chamber, and I'm going to invite you up here to present you your plaque.
Awesome. While they're taking a quick picture over there, I'm going to wrap it up. And thank y'all so much for being here. We appreciate you taking an hour out of your morning to come eat breakfast with us, drink some coffee, and hear a wonderful update. Thank you, Ashely. We really appreciate you being here. I want to just take a quick second and recognize a few of our new partners in the room. We've got Keep the Midlands Beautiful, Core Technology Solutions, Moxie Columbia Downtown, and Rev Beauty and Infusion Clinic. If you meet any of these people or see any of them on your way out, please give them a warm chamber welcome, shake their hand, introduce yourselves, and make sure that they feel welcome. My name is Hillary Bell. I'm the events director at the Chamber, so I tell people I have the most fun job. I get to plan all the parties and events to bring everybody together. So I just want to touch on a few things we have coming up. Next Thursday is our March partner engagement. We do partner engagements every Thursday. It's our networking after-hours event. There's no agenda. It's simply come, get a drink, meet some people, shake some hands, and head on your way. So we will be at Craft Acts next Thursday at 4:30, from 4:30 to 6:30. So make sure and register for that and come on out. We also have our golf tournament coming up. So our golf tournament was one of my most favorite events that we do. It is Thursday, April 25th. We do still have a few sponsorships left and a few golf teams. They are selling very quickly. Last year we sold out by the end of March, so make sure and reach out if you have any questions or if you're interested in participating in that. We have sponsorship, golfing, we have volunteer opportunities. It's just a really fun day to get 300 of your closest friends out on the golf course. We also have, for the ladies in the room, on June 13th, our Power and Heels event. This is another really popular event that we do just to celebrate the women in business, celebrate our local women that are working so hard in the community, and to get together and have a great time. So sorry, men, it's not for you. It is for women. But please check out our website or reach out to me if you have any questions about that. So again, just thank you so much. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day. Enjoy this nice spring sunny day, and we will see you next month.